Hello, everybody. Welcome to Otaku Nightly Hour. I am Anastasia. I am your host. I'm joined today by Alice, a fellow YouTuber and content creator, and I'm
Hello.
joined again by Dr. Clef, who is a long-term guest host of ours. Before we get started, I just want to say something. Yes, I know the title is really clickbaity-ish, which is Valko is dead, what now? And it's intentional. Valko, yes, he's a Greek character. He is not a real person. The death of a character doesn't exactly happen and mean a lot. But this isn't meant to sensationalize the situation or mock anyone who's been affected by his cancellation. And again, this episode is unbiased. We are not deciding who is right or wrong fully. I want to take a step back and have an honest conversation about what had happened, where we are now, what remains as speculation from the entire topic, and what this controversy might mean gaming and mostly any creative work that may come in the future. And throughout the episode, I'll do my best to separate the confirmed information from claims and personal opinions that were made and founded on the internet. I reference any discussions from certain communities or any discussions from certain servers and stuff like that. They should be understood as community perspective and opinions rather than hard facts, unless they've been confirmed by developers. And whether or not citing Valko supported his cancellation or are just hearing this controversy for the first time in ever, I hope you'll stick around with an open mind to the end of the discussion. Because my goal isn't to but we're here to ask the bigger question of how we're going to engage further with stories and content that how much influence an audience can have over a creative project, and what happens after when such controversy like this affects a project. And if nothing else, my hope is that this episode leaves us with a more understanding of the ideals that we hope come out of situations like this than when we started. For these two don't really know too much. I am the little
I don't even play the game.
But I'll have my disclaimer. When I heard about it, it was through somebody else. I did my baseline research, especially on the topic of today, but for the most part, I have no clue what I'm getting into. God save my soul.
The most unbiased out of the three of us because I know very little to nothing about Love and Deepspace in general, much less the drama. So everything I hear about the drama today from both of you will be like the first time I'm hearing about it.
Well, it's mainly just going to be, and I brought them in specifically because for Callus knows from a previous, well, actually both of you are very well aware, but me and Callus were in the drama at the time that happened because a very similar event happened. And then there's another game that we really, really like, related to a voice actress, as well as both of you are creatives in your own right, and understand that there's important feedback, but also integrity.
Yeah, there's a certain level of control that an audience should have over a game or like a project in general, where like feedback is definitely important. But let's say, for example, like if something got a lot of attention and then the fan base was requesting, like from a game developer, like you get a lot of requests from like the majority of your audience for something. Sometimes it's a case by case scenario. Sometimes like maybe it's a bug or something that needs to be fixed, or maybe it's an idea for a game that people really want. Sometimes it's a good thing and sometimes it's a bad thing. And that's the thing, is there's a strong difference between making a change for a game because it's actually a good idea and you think that it would actually be helpful for your game, and doing it simply because a bunch of people asked you to. You know? Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so let me set the timeline and the context for you all and stuff. And you don't need to know everything about the lore or whatever that is related to it. Here is the most simplest breakdown. Love and Deepspace is a gacha-related dating sim targeted towards women with different love interests, like very much most dating sims have multiple love interests to choose from with a gacha involved system. And
Right.
the love interest in this case is the newest added love interest is Valko, who is as described and interpreted from all the material that we had been given from his first release, quote unquote, was that he was a werewolf character with metal bending abilities that has a more sort of like darker tone as a character in comparison to the previous love interest previously introduced to the game. In June 21st to the 22nd, depending on your time zone of global to China, Valko was revealed, and he was planned to be released on the 9th of July for the version 6.0 game. And he was going to be a new addition, especially because of the fact that they had for the longest time on the game character selection more love interest coming soon. So we always knew we were going to get another love interest. We knew it since Caleb's release. And okay, there was a bit of a mixed bag in terms of, but I'll get to the opinions shortly.
Mhm.
The next factual thing is that the backlash came in with various different complaints, from things like the idea of adding a new love interest, how it was designed, and such alike, and overall just like everything related to all the material that was shown of it, such that it was just not hitting a lot of marks and stuff. But some people were okay with it, and I will preface this. I was one of those people that were like, meh.
Right.
I knew it
You
was
didn't
gonna
think too
come.
much of it.
I knew it was gonna come and such like that.
Yeah. Because like you said, they said that they were going to make another love interest. You knew it was going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, longevity of a game, they're always gonna have to come up with what new thing can I do to keep people rolling in. Especially because, as much as it is a whale is a term, for gacha people who've spent a large quantity of money on the regular to a game. It's to keep the attention of people into the game and such. You know, like every other game developer, how do you encourage people to continue playing and not get bored or rage quit?
Mm-hmm.
On June
Yeah, I mean, you have to
30th, yesterday, because of all that had happened to it, they have since confirmed he is cancelled.
Like straight up, just removed from the game completely.
Yeah.
So
they had, like, let me preface this, all the material that they have is not just one video trailer and people going off from one video trailer. They had 4 presentations of him. They had a display outside of their company with a giant pop for it crashed into the concrete kind of display. They were ready for him to the point that they, on their windows, like every other game company, they have like taped onto their windows all the characters, including Valko, alongside the other love interests. They have a lot of animation. They had story cards built for him. They had, in Love and Deepspace, there's a fighting mechanic. They have his fighting mechanics down to his damage animation. They had it planned out. And from what I understood at the time, developers said that they worked on him for roughly 2 to 3 years.
Yeah.
Look,
So they've been cooking this a while.
yeah, from my understanding also, they've been at this for a while.
In general.
In general. What kind of gets me though, as someone that basically dabbles in game development and keeps up with the industry, that is an exorbitant amount of money in just marketing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Mind
I don't
you,
think people realize how much marketing costs.
Yeah,
Especially
no,
on that
marketing.
scale.
How much money
Marketing-
goes into development?
Yeah.
Well, okay, development, yeah. Honestly, okay, so a good, nice guesstimate, they probably sunk around like maybe $1 million to $2 million in just development because you have to pay your artists, you have to pay your storyboarders, the voice actors, Because
The
mind
multiple
you,
voice actors, because this is
this is a multilingual game. You have to get one voice actor for every language you want to release on. Plus the subbers. It is an exorbitant amount of money. I will let you know. And with the industry being as it is, even more so, and being a gacha game on top of that, you can't just like drop something in. You have to also they'll have an easier time doing it, but you also have to understand the mechanics behind your gacha. You have to set up everything in advance. You can't just push the build out and hope for the best. You have to test it in the background. So they have builds prepared already. They just don't want to release them.
And then story development wise, because this is where I could stand in and such like that, you have to work a way that he makes sense within the main storyline, because he was supposed to be part of the main storyline that is part of the game. It's not like, oh, we're throwing characters, making them look pretty, and here,
he was written
give
into
us
it
money
already.
and stuff. There is a large overarching storyline in Love and Deepspace that they did with introducing the characters. Yes, we started with the three main guys, Xavier, Raphael, Zane, but as we add Silas, as we added Caleb, they developed the story further with their own part of the arcs. And Valko was supposed to help continue that, because we have been without new storyline update since Caleb's release.
Yeah.
And that was half a year ago.
Yeah, it's not like you're just dropping a character into a D&D campaign. You have to write them into that. Even in campaigns like that, like if it's very story heavy, you usually will plan around the people that are joining, right? You have to like rewrite story and stuff around them. Like you don't just make a character like that and then just rip them away immediately. Like that's so much work and time and dedication. And like you said, story, very important to the story that this happened. And just because a bunch of upset fans were vocal about it, they decided to scrap the entire project. This isn't like a small scale update like Blizzard changing the writing of a character. People get freaked out about that too. You're just changing the story about characters even.
This was from my understanding and from what I've been reading up on, this was a 2.0 update per se. Like this was a big thing. And I also started reading up some reports, thanks in partially to May. There was fans that were quite literally going to the studio, throwing fecal matter, because I can't say my favorite word, throwing fecal matter at the actual studio itself and putting death threats up on the door.
Like,
they were doing
character.
Yeah, they were doing everything short of going inside and pointing a gun at him.
Okay, what is it about this character that they don't like specifically? Like, is there anything specifically?
Here's the part where it comes into speculation about why they didn't like the character, because there's a lot of string of reasons that a lot of people were a little bit kind of here and there. So I'm gonna go from like most reasonable to most outrageous. Okay, let me preface this. I'm gonna build it up. So first, a lot of people were a little bit hesitant about adding a love interest because investment-wise, from a player standpoint, it sounds very money grubby, which I could kind of understand, because if you're very much like me, you don't just like one single character. You like all the characters equally, or like you have a bias to one or two characters. And
you have a thing.
Adding another one causes more problems, especially if you really end up liking this character. Because, let's be fair, we were raised on a monogamous household in most of society, and especially, but especially because of the fact that, like, money-wise, it starts getting really hard and overcrowded on banners. Especially
I know this is
a multi-banner situation.
I know this is a very serious topic in terms of the game, but like the second you said that, all I wanted to say was praise the Lord.
But like, okay, so here's the thing. I could share some of my experience with this portion of it. I do understand, like, oh my god, my wallet's empty, why are you doing this to me, Infold? Because the last couple banners have hit me specifically, because my favorite character, Zane, has been getting hard rerun, has done new banners, reruns, and then next one is his birthday after this big update, and I'm just like, oh my god, my wallet, like 6 cards back to back. that I would either need or have to consider pulling. And such like that.
I mean,
because
it's kind of like how
bias.
Wuwa released my like single most known character during the Cyberpunk launch, and that's like the biggest collab that gacha games have ever seen, right? Like Cyberpunk Wuwa is massive. It's even bigger than Love and Deepspace's character drop. Like this thing is it's even larger in scale, and they did it at the same time as my most wanted character, and that was so messed up. Like I've been waiting for this character drop, but like that's not their fault, you know?
Like, at the end of the day, I understand from, like, yes, from a player standpoint, yes, it sounds really bad, because, like, oh my god, my money, I'm bleeding dry, Infold, what are you doing to me, which is the company. But also, I could sit there from a company, like, as a business standpoint, I'm like, that's just business. They want
It's just business, yeah.
They want a steady intake of money.
So it is just business, but I'm gonna comment this from like a kind of like developer midpoint. It was worded terribly. Like, it's one thing to say, oh, we're stopping production of this right now, we're fixing things up, and it's another thing to come out and straight up just say, no, we're scrapping development.
Yeah.
Development is halted, period.
It's much like how Nimble Neuron handled the Eternal Return, like, Crony drama, when they just completely erased Crony, and then even blamed her for a lot of the drama. Like, it was the way that it was handled, not the decision itself.
Exactly. Like, also, it didn't help them at all that there was essentially receipts, and that people dug those up, and I feel like the situation is very comparable, because it's like it's like getting the South Korean community of and then the Chinese community. Moving them to China, and it's literally the same thing. They're complaining about something that, one, isn't even out yet, two, you've only seen previews of, and three, is part of a major expansion that you haven't experienced. You don't even know if you like it. Like, you don't even have reviews to base yourself off of.
It's like going to a restaurant, seeing the restaurant like what it's supposed to be in comparison to what you've known of what it's supposed to be. Like, oh yeah, you're in China district, but then there's one Japanese restaurant in there, and you're like, no, I don't like it. It's like, we haven't even had our opening day yet.
Yeah, you don't even know what they're going to be serving.
Like, they might be doing Japanese fusion, or something like that.
It's like, okay, weird comparison. It's like going to Lynn's Buffet and seeing the Mexican food.
But then, but like, okay, so here's the next thing that people were a little bit disliking. And again, it's a little bit of like a tit for tat. They said his design wasn't really all that good and stuff like that. And I'm just like,
but that's not a reason to scrap a character.
That's really an opinion based thing. Like they said that the double ears thing was a little bit weird because he has both wolf ears and human ears. He's basically kind of just looks like a Silas and Caleb combined together into a love child werewolf thing and stuff. Yeah. He doesn't look quote unquote interesting. But the thing is that like
Team Jacob.
That's opinion.
But like I also look at them and I'm like, you could say that, but like Xavier and Raphael also kind of have both baby faces. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. That's the thing, is it's opinion whether or not a design is good. Like, if people don't like the design, someone does.
That's like looking
design...
at two models and say one model's better than the other, but they basically both fit the ideal that you want for the next.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's so it's all subjective, honestly, and
yes.
The developer goal is to essentially make something that appeals to the widest audience, not necessarily to a specific audience. You want to throw a net out. If the specific audience, however, happens to be the widest audience, well, that's just a happy coinky ding.
Yeah.
But in this case, it's not about that. If it was about that, you would have just ignored all the calls to action over there. It really is about the money and how much the Chinese player base is willing to shell out versus the global player base currently.
Well, that's the thing, is that you have to realize scrapping it. We already just addressed how much money they spent on it. It's not like they spend this money when the character comes out. They've already spent it. You've already got it. The character's ready to be released. but you
They-
chose not
they
to.
built
Not
the
because...
They built the house. They were gonna open it.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's not like you're gonna lose money by releasing it. No, you're gonna make money by releasing it. That's kind of the whole point. The thing is not money. It's not the reason why they scrapped them. They scrapped them over trust. The gacha games in general, that's the way these developers work. They want to appeal to their... But they care about it too much. You know? They let the audience influence the game's development way too much.
And,
Yeah.
And then here's the thing that, like, we're getting into very outrageous-ish kind of outlandish kind of claims. I'm giving you that preface right now. One line from one of the trailers was rule number 1, never bait in the pot, which Chinese players claim is a reference to an infamous real-life murder case, sometimes called the Iron Pot Wife, in which a woman was allegedly killed by her abusive husband using a boiling soup.
That's grasping at straws.
Yeah, no. That's definitely grasping at straws. And another one to follow up with that is that it's something called like Case 713 and such like that. I'm not very versed about the historical significance of it in terms of things, but basically it's a Japanese experimentation case in which they experimented on Chinese people, and they're claiming, because in the story it is related to some case with those series of members, that they're saying that Infold is being very insensitive, referencing such a case like that, when this is a case that had happened like far beyond our generation. This was like, I'm talking about like back in World War I, World War II era.
Yeah.
Gravity Falls fans, with how many things they're making about it.
Well, okay, so like, if we want to put it in, I guess in our perspective, it's like the equivalent of the Holocaust? I don't know.
It's some tragedy that they think is related to the event somehow.
And such like that. Like, again, I don't know what the equivalent of is, but like, people are claiming like this is such a significant event. How can you do that to us, as a Chinese like,
player base
and stuff like that? And it's like, to the international audience, aka like everyone in the US, everyone elsewhere that plays it, such as Korea and Japan, because those are the main four. Those are the 4 languages that they hire for.
They mainly
Chinese,
cater to
Korean, Japanese, and English.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess like everyone else gets it in other countries if they know enough English and such. That those are the communities they cater for, but the problem comes into that they're listening to some of the loudest voices in Chinese.
Right. Yeah, and this audience is probably not even that big. It's just that they're so vocal about it. It's the same thing that happened with ER. It's literally the same thing. It's just that it's a vocal minority just being incredibly loud. And they chose to listen to them.
Yeah. And it's just, it's really unfortunate because, like, aside from what could have potentially become a kid, let's not grasp at straws and wonder what could have happened. The fact is, development was made. They had a large progress that went through and such, and now it's just gone.
Yeah, they dumped it, and it's like the racing just does not make sense for the amount of effort
that was
it, and
put
then they
into
just
it,
abandon it. Yeah, it doesn't make sense. Like, it's not like you're just gonna rewrite the character story. It's not like changing voice actors. You're scrapping the entire character.
Which is kind of why my stand leans more towards money than anything else. It wasn't necessarily like the trust. I know that they want the trust. That's what keeps the players coming back to spend the money. But I feel like this was a business decision by somebody that really doesn't understand the fan base. It's kind of like when you hire, I'm gonna use EA for an example. They hired the guy from Unity to run the company, but he's also the guy that wanted to charge everybody 40 cents a bullet in Battlefield to reload.
Yeah.
Like, I don't feel like this came from a developer. I feel like this came from some guy who just wanted to make bottom line and then
I mean, it's
completely
almost
lost
the big
track.
guys that make the poor decisions. It's almost always the investors and CEOs that make the poor decisions.
Which is insane
So-
because some of the investors have been vocal about it, saying that they're pulling out. So that's why there is also some people claiming that because of these reports towards the company has gotten to the point that the government got involved.
Mm-hmm.
It would
I mean,
surprise me if they didn't. Like, it's gacha games in China are huge moneymakers. Like,
Yeah.
you could tax them to infinity and they would still be fine.
No. Let me preface this. The players reported the company to the government, and the government is quote unquote
Huh. I was gonna say, like,
is
it's
marginally
not
worse.
gonna make as much sense to us because Chinese gaming culture is so different from the rest of the world, you know?
Mm-hmm. And again,
Like
I don't know why or if the government actually did get involved and such, but it's getting to the point that currently right now, people are making petitions to try and get the character back into the game. People have agreed that once on release day, no one's gonna play the game. People have unfollowed the accounts, unfollowed all their social media accounts, have bombed the reviews. It used to be 4.5 before yesterday. Now it's at a 1.5 on all download site reviews. That's how horrible it went down.
So, the question kind of becomes now, was it worth it?
Yeah.
Like, what was it worth keeping the bankroll in China to essentially piss off everybody else?
I mean, the people that are upset about it are going to be upset regardless if you release the character or not, so you may as well make some money on it, right?
Also, I feel like catering to that subsection of, like, in quotes, community, that is quite literally threatening you and, like, doing all this other stuff to you, damaging property, like, that feels like a complete and total, kind of like, I don't know how to word it properly. Mistake would be the best word I can think of.
I personally think the whole thing could have been a little bit handled different.
My unbiased, logical opinion is that when I see a game or any kind of creative thing, mostly games, do something like this where the developers pander too hard to an audience, doesn't matter what size of audience it is, it's when you pander to the audience too many times. Yeah, you just go to the wrong people. You convince these people that now they have a say over the development of the game. They are convinced now that they are important and they're going to continue this kind of behavior. So if they don't like something, they will simply harass you until you change it because they know that they can. You've convinced them they can do it. You've allowed them to do that. So they're going to keep doing it.
Yeah, no, I'm 100% with you there.
Well, I am hopeful that maybe we do get to see the development of these creators. Because as a creative, I would hate to see all my hard work just get tossed aside so greatly, so close to release and such like that. But at the end, I'm trying not to have an opinion about whether or not you're going to stay in or not. I think the whole thing could have been handled a little differently if they had listened to the actual genuine creative criticism that was there. If it was a simple, hey, the character feels a little bit too hard for some of our tastes, and a majority of people are saying like, not interested. This is a little bit too much. So they could like go back in and say like, okay, like, we'll fix his personality a little bit, and such like that. Write him a little bit better.
Yeah, like I understand if it changes the tone of the game too much, then yeah, maybe it's a writing issue. But that's not a reason to scrap an entire project like that. It's not a reason to just completely delete a character. You just have to rewrite the character.
As well as the fact that, like, okay, maybe the whole werewolf thing is a little strange and stuff like that. Maybe if we give him a new a werewolf, but still like follow along the line of wolf idea. Which personally, I think the character development that they had at the time, which was that he is a CEO of a high tech company, with the power to manipulate metal. The werewolf kind of felt really out of place in terms of that concept. I personally think that works something else instead.
I mean, even if
that's
I were
a
to
lot
put
more
myself-
understandable, honestly.
Even if I were to put myself in the mindset of like an investor that barely knows anything about the game, which I barely know anything, if I were to imagine myself as an investor in the game, I would see the response of the fans, right? Like, let's say that there's a large majority, maybe it's not even a minority, maybe a large portion of the fan base is very upset about this character. Well, there's a few things that you can do about it. You can scrap the entire project. Or B, you can invest even more time and money to try and fix the character to appeal to these fans that you already probably know aren't going to care regardless of what you do. They already have spoken their mind about it. They're just going to be annoyed and complain and pee themselves no matter what you do to it, because that's just how they act. So it's like, but you want to keep those fans, right? You want to keep your revenue, you want to keep your reputation. So it's better to sink the project than it is to continue trying to dump money into it to appeal to a fan base that's not going to like it regardless.
But then, okay, so then what about, because we're throwing ideas on the board of how this could have been handled a little bit better and such. What if they released the character and such, and people didn't like it? Is it, by that regard, is it better to try to write them out of the story or fix the confusing?
I mean,
like we already made the development, the character's there and such like that. We're gonna, but people aren't really liking him and stuff like that. We're gonna kind of move on from him.
I'm a firm believer that any project you think that is worth your time is worth investing all of that money into, even if it doesn't work very well at the start. I mean, hell, my V2 remodel, the first one I made, is terrible. The design was awful. And I talk about how every following design is slightly better, but still awful. But I rate the design that I've made now. It took 2 years for me to get to the point that I've gotten with my character design, and people are very happy, and the reception has been great. But the only reason I got to the point that I am with this character is because I didn't scrap it at any point. I didn't stop developing it. I only kept improving it, and that was a lot of time and effort and reworking and storyboarding and a lot of effort and money into this character design.
I would say the same thing happened in other games, like, what was it, No Man's Sky? Was like
No Man's Sky.
Yeah, no,
Cyberpunk 2077. Let's see, Minecraft at one point.
Minecraft, at least from the modding community standpoint, Minecraft still, actually.
I'd say Overwatch as well.
Yeah,
the comeback story on Overwatch is crazy.
Yeah, actually, now that you mention it, Overwatch is pretty comparable here too.
Yeah, Overwatch has taken over Rivals, actually. It's nuts. I don't want to get into that, but the point that the point is that even when a project fails at the start, it doesn't necessarily mean the idea or the project itself is bad. It just means that it needs more time to bake. Or maybe you just need to change something about it. I always think that a project you are passionate about is worth dumping the time and investment to make it better. Because sometimes you just make mistakes. If the character story is bad, then change it.
In a weird sense, are we suggesting that Infold should have just playtested the character?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yes.
Honestly, I think they could have gone the Steam approach and, like, in quotes, early access everything.
Yeah. They could have
done sign-ups for early access, let people playtest, see the reception of the character, continue to fix it from there, and then once they say, we've gotten it down to the point that, like, a small amount of people really don't like him and such like that, but even so, it's like 1 out of 100 people don't like him and stuff like that is good enough for us. Because here's the thing, you're never gonna appease everybody. That's a fact.
You just want a majority.
Trying to appease everyone is never gonna work.
No.
I understand this very well. You do want to go by the biggest general audience, but more importantly, you want to go by the audience that you know is gonna love it as art and is going to stick with you in the long term.
Right. Over
the people that are very, like, cranky about it right now and they're gonna forget about it tomorrow.
It's like the reason why I choose Wuthering Waves over Genshin Impact. A little information is just like, I used to be a Genshin Impact player, but I've stopped playing it completely. Haven't touched it in years, and I prefer Wuthering Waves. I love Wuthering Waves story. It's one of my favorite stories I've played as of late. It's fantastic. I love how deep and emotional and angsty it is. But, maybe Genshin players, and I've had this conversation with before, Genshin players don't like Wuthering Waves story because they like the brighter, more face value story that comes with Genshin. It's easier to consume because it's not as deep, it's not as like... It's more lighthearted. Yeah, and I can understand that. Now, I don't like the Genshin story. I think that it's too face value. It's too plastic copy. I wish it were more deep. But I'm not gonna go and complain about that and, like, review bomb and get upset about Genshin being face value if that's the way that the game wants to be. If that's the story that the game wants to tell, if it wants to be lighthearted, then it's just not for me. Like, I don't want to change Love and Deepspace characters to appeal to me because Love and Deepspace isn't for me. But I'm not going to go and complain about the game and make them change it just so that I can enjoy it.
Because currently the review bomb is for people to put Valko back because of stuff like that. But right now, I think another point that we're kind of glossing over is the parasocial relationship that players are having towards a character that hadn't come out. The reason why I brought up the reason why I brought up the details about like the
parasocialness of it,
the references that are from the trailers that are like kind of grasping at straws and stuff, is that these people are putting weight on a character that hasn't come out yet, trying to put headcanon into there when the character probably, at least from my understanding from it, could have been just a dork in a hotbot.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
so,
they don't even get to know yet. It's not gonna happen.
I have a very weird example that I know a lot of people are gonna frown upon. ChatGPT actually, specifically GPT, I think it was 4.0. And this is kind of credit to its creators in a way. It was made to appeal to people. It was made to tell you what you wanted. Which, again...
It's a yes man.
It's a yes man. But it was a very effective yes man, to the point where, like, it was turning into kind of like that guy that married Miku.
Oh, yeah.
It was turning into that.
I forgot about that.
It was turning into that, except that Miku talked back to you. And Miku told you what you wanted to know.
Yeah, it's not there's a series of lines that are set, or what it is. It's a more advanced Alexa situation where they're gonna...
Yeah.
It is essentially the smart house.
It's almost like it's got a mind of its own.
Yeah, except it got very good at deceiving you.
Yeah.
And that, in and of itself, is kind of an issue here. Like, credit to the writers. To be able to pull that off without having to spend the millions of dollars ChatGPT spent, good on you. I will never knock you. That's amazing.
Yeah, like, the fact that people... Because I just talked about it in a recent video where I was talking about... Like, it was the last video that I was seeing for Pride Month. And I talked about how Love and Deepspace situation. This was at the beginning when Valko had first gotten released, and the people were like, he's kind of okay. He's like that. But then some people were actually feeling a little bit bad about, well, what if I actually like my little puppy boy and stuff? And I spoke out about allowing people to love who they want to love if it's not going to harm anyone. But then to hear this, it makes me extremely upset by that. Personally, because I at the end, I had made it a point that you should be allowed to love the things that you love, and you should allow other people to love the things that you love. But
yeah, like, I don't like Big Booba Cantarella in Wuthering Waves. I don't like how sussy she is. She's very interesting, like, but not to me, you know?
Like, I'm gonna pull up, like, this is a joke, but clearly, like, it has some level to it that you both especially could say this. The joke of, are you a boob or ass man?
Yeah. Nice.
But like, both of you
man of culture.
Yep.
But both of you, like, say like either of you are in opposite teams, sides, and stuff like that, and everything. You both of you, you're not gonna like go at each other's throat.
No, we'll just shake on it.
You're just like, You're that one meme with Arnold Schwarzenegger where like clutch arms.
Yeah, it's the
Yes.
the Predator meme where they just kind of go like, "Son of a bitch, you got it."
Yeah, I'll just shake on it. It's like, I don't agree with you, but it's not like I care.
Virus, yeah, but like I might not agree with you, but I respect it.
Yeah, I can see the value in it. I just prefer this one,
Yeah, but then it's like with this one, with women and such like that. And I don't know if it's gender specific or that like Chinese players in particular, they felt like they had to make it a point that Valko needed to get rid of and such like that. At the end of the day,
it wasn't just a rework. It was like straight up get rid of this guy. We hate him that much.
At the end of the day, though, I don't think anyone woke up hoping that this was gonna be the exact outcome that it was gonna be. Honestly, I didn't even think they were gonna even have this on the board because I wasn't even aware that drama got great until I had to do all the research that I did and found out like all the things that were happening towards the developers. Honestly,
I mean, much like with Nimble Neuron's problem and how they handled Crony and how they handled the interactions with the fans, the ones that were vocal about it, this is going to incentivize those fans to do it again because they probably didn't even think they were going to get their way, but they still were very vocal about it because they, at least part of them was convinced they could. And now all the Love and Deepspace fans, Love and Deepspace has done is affirm to those fans that your opinion matters more than ours. So we want to hear you because if we're going to make a decision, you're the one that chooses ultimately whether or not we do it. That's not a good relationship you want to have with anybody.
No. That is, in fact, kind of the opposite of what you want to look for, especially because that's kind of the stuff that it causes friction in the development process because you start getting people within studios or within teams that go like, okay, I know we already have this planned out, I know the production's there, the GGD is available, like we have our game bible, but this one fan really wanted this character to be a woman instead of a man.
Yep.
But then that changes like half the story halfway through the game. But can we do that anyway? And it causes rework. It's all unnecessary rework.
Like every cartoon that I've seen where stories about a character is a creative and wants their project to come up. Yeah. Always
it is
a villain or an antagonist who says, yeah, but let's change it like this because people will like it like this. There's no wrong, at least from a creative standpoint, there's no wrong way to approach being creative, but it has to come within reason and with.
Yeah, I agree with that.
You should appeal to what will sell because at the end of the day, you're making money. But at the same time, as a creative, as I could sit between both of those shoes with myself. As a creative, if I'm making something, I can't strive for it. Like, I'm not going to want to make it anymore.
Exactly. But just because you hear people that don't like your character, like imagine if I listened to people tell me that my character design for my VTuber was bad, and I just scrapped the entire character and I just give up. Like I would have never gotten to this point.
It's, in my opinion, it is the vanity of people thinking that their opinion is the like factually correct one. Yeah, exactly. It's God's rule when like it is a subjective thing. You can't just look at one person and go like, this is the most beautiful person in the world, to turn around and then have another person go like, 5 out of 10.
Yeah, and there's a very strong line between saying to a developer, hey, I don't like this character design, and in a way that like is encouraging them to keep the character, but do something about it, and just flat out saying, we hate this character, remove it or else. You know,
that's another thing.
Line.
That's another thing. That's another thing. Is it genuine critique, or is it just somebody going like, I don't like it as my preference, so it's bad?
Yeah, it's just people crying about it because they want their way instead of actually critiquing, trying to make the game better. This is not they need to improve the game. This is just getting their way because they want to enforce a rule.
I of course I also want to play devil's advocate and such like that. There shouldn't, as a creative, should not be end all be all. Do it my way. You have to give me money because I make it, and it's absolutely
the opposite.
Oh, no, yeah. That's also vanity. Like, you can't put something out there and go like, this is the best work on the planet. No, people are gonna judge artists' subjective games.
Mhm.
For as much as business does stand in the industry now,
Fallout 7.
games...
You had to say it.
If you weren't gonna say it, I was gonna say it. But
Oh my god.
I was gonna also say Miraculous.
Yeah.
that's a completely different ballpark. But
Helldivers 2. That's a current one.
to be fair, that wasn't
that
a
was
developer, that was a publisher issue.
Yeah.
But like, overall,
Okay, wait, no, back on track. Before we lose the plot again. That is a vanity issue. As a developer, you cannot expect to put your work out there and then not have it judged, as it is a piece of art at the end of the day.
And people aren't going to judge your art with the artist's perspective. Most people aren't creative. They're not going to view things from a creative lens. They're going to view things from a consumer lens. And those are two very different things. And that's why I would say feedback is always meant to be...
Going to a 5-star restaurant is gonna like the 5-star restaurant.
Right. Yeah.
Ironically, I was gonna say the Backrooms movie, actually, when I went to go watch it, since I had the context of the miniseries and everything on YouTube, like, I watched the whole thing.
Made by the same creator, mind you.
Yeah, made by the same creator, mind you. It made sense to me. Did I think it was a little underwhelming with its characters? Sure.
As
But
a standalone movie?
But as a standalone movie, it was really good. It was like I was watching one of the YouTube episodes. However, for somebody that had not seen it, a lot of complaints I heard on the way out was the characters were very weak and I did not understand what was going on. Because you needed that context.
Versus, like, if we're gonna use another film, the app does not require you to know the games or the lore as much as Matt Pat thought you would need to know the lore. But
it'll still improve the experience if you do, you know.
Yeah.
But you can still enjoy a really nice orb.
Yeah. Exactly. Like, I don't need to play League of Legends and know League of Legends lore to enjoy Arcane. But it would improve the experience because there's loads of, like, Easter eggs and stuff that I don't even know about.
So that's the thing. We're coming back to the fandom dictates here. I know this is completely out of left field too, but Arcane originally was not part of the baseline lore, and now it comprises the baseline lore.
Yeah.
For everything in its entirety. Yeah. And
what they did to God.
Season 2 got awful. Season 1
was
really good.
Podcast that's a different podcast episode.
That's a different pod. That's completely...
We'll hold that for another day if you guys...
we'll
get me on the next
nightly
hour. I'll talk about Arcane Season 2 all I want.
Okay, let's bring it back. So, the point here is, where would you guys, as more creative than I am, more creators than I am, because, you know, I do have my game developer experience, but since I'm not published, I can't subject myself to the same kind of criticisms that you do.
Yeah.
Where would you guys draw the line at going like, okay, this is criticism versus this is vanity, and I just want it to be my way because why not?
It's incredibly hard to determine a line in the sand, because like I said at the very beginning of the podcast, it's very case by case, because it extremely depends on the criticism that you're getting. Because it could be an issue with, like, character, like if I were to say, specifically like my VTuber, obviously, like if it were a genuine criticism of like the character design or something, or maybe like the way that it's drawn can be done better. It is my job as the developer, the creator of this content, to determine what is and isn't a good idea.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter the criticism they give. It's just my job to interpret.
Yeah, like for example, when in the background, before Callus debuted, when Callus was developing the design, he would come back to me to ask about like good and stuff like that and everything. And when I give feedback, the feedback is never, oh no, this looks ass. Kind of thing. No. I said something along the lines of like, let's take the design of, you were struggling with the shirt color because you originally had asked like a purple.
Right.
But I commented that you should have a black because then the black would add a contrast that would be a character stand out as closing.
Yeah, and because of her feedback, she gave me feedback regarding the color of my shirt and my clothing and the wires on my back, because they used to be much larger and more symmetrical, but I made fewer of them, made them smaller, and made them asymmetrical. It's just a representation of, like, she actually made a good point, and maybe it was bad feedback, maybe it was good feedback. I don't know. If it's a good idea, and I think it's a good idea, not because she said it, I'm going to do it because I thought it was a good idea. You know? As developers of projects, as creative people, it is our job to take the mumble-jumble, crazy, like, streaming into the void noise that people produce for us as feedback and interpret that into something that is either a good or bad idea and choose what we're supposed to do with it. Because it's not like, we do a decision because 60% of the audience says we should do it. If 60% says it's a good idea, well then obviously it's going to be like, okay, well, we should put more consideration into this if that many people don't like the thing or want it to change, you know, or have an idea. Then maybe let's talk about it more heavily because there is more of a push behind it. But it doesn't mean that it's instantly rule of law just because the majority said so.
So this is where... Oh, sorry.
I would also like to tack on, there are sometimes, like, very similar to case by case about the game.
There's also a case by case project. Sometimes some projects you're gonna do it.
Yeah.
Like that. You don't want people to, like, okay, one of my not oldest, but one of my first videos since coming back onto the platform of content creating and such like that was a very personal video where I talked about my personal life. I'm not gonna change anything in terms of how it's developed, how it came out. It's such a light based on feedback. Someone says like, well, this story is too stressful. This story, if I felt like I needed to say this story out there because I thought someone was gonna want to hear it,
yeah,
I'm gonna make it regardless if someone told me not to.
Exactly. Yeah, like if I have plenty of videos on my channel that I've kept around that are just previous talks of years ago when I was in like a low mood talking about stuff, you know, because it helps me. I did it because it helped me. If I helped somebody else along the way and I thought that there was a possibility that those videos could help someone, that's why I posted. Because there's a chance that me talking about my own problems can encourage or comfort or help someone with theirs. That's always a possibility. So that's why I did it. But if someone were to tell me they didn't like those videos, I'm like, okay, well then don't watch them. You don't have to watch everything I post. I do all of these other things. You can engage with all that stuff and just ignore the videos you don't like, you know? You don't have to watch them. You don't have to like them. But some people do. So I'm going to post because I like them and some other people do like them, you know?
Yeah, it's an establishing your community.
Yeah, exactly. It's not all about the one or two people that don't like it. It's about the majority of the people that do and the fact that I do like them. So I'm going to make it anyway.
I just think, at the end of the day, at least my quote-unquote solution to all of it is that we should really have, like, open conversations about the creative process with empathy, with whatever we're saying towards the creator, empathy towards understanding what the feedback we're receiving as a creator and such from consumer, because at the end of the day it's consumer to seller and seller to consumer, and having the open conversation between the creator and the fans to say what can we do to, because there have been other media that I could say the fan base comes up with far better stories than whatever is going on that is quote unquote by main creators. Like, miraculous. But anyway.
Oh yeah.
But like, also the fact is that sometimes.
Actually, wait, no, I take that back. No, not league.
But like, also in a sense that certain developers probably have a big plan out to that the fan base probably doesn't know the hell is gonna happen and such like that. Like, okay, I'm gonna be fair. When I first saw Steven Universe and stuff, which I'm gonna be fair, I love Steven Universe,
I do too.
And everything. When I first saw Steven Universe Season 1, I thought it was just gonna be Adventure Time trash, like Adventure Time.
Exactly. And then they made Future. Like, what?
The
last half of it is so good.
I did not like Steven Universe for the second half of the first season. And then Future, I feel like Future did it better, and that they should have gone for the Future approach from the beginning. But
it's not. That's like obviously there are some,
subjective.
But again, there are some things where like I didn't know what was gonna come. Like I thought this was gonna be a dumb kid going on adventures with his alien adoptive parent, moms, and such like that kind of adventure.
Yeah, like we're not we're not at the table. We're not even in the room. Like we don't know what the development plans are. We're not part of the conversation. We're just consuming the end product of it. So like, how are we supposed to know what's good for a game? We're just supposed to tell people, like, if I play a game and the game is bad, I'm gonna come up with reasons why I feel like I don't like it. Whether it's fact or not, it's still opinion, and I can't be sure that it's a fact even. Like, sometimes things are just objectively bad. So differentiating...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Differentiating between... Differentiating what's observed... Yeah, I struggle with that one. Observing what is, like, plausible fact and, like, is objective, and what's subjective, an opinion. Yeah, it's a very hard thing to differentiate sometimes. But, like, that's the thing, is like, if I hear that I don't like Hisui, and I talk about what I don't like about Hisui, and a bunch of other people say, oh yeah, I also don't like those things about Hisui, well then it's not just my opinion, it's the opinion of a bunch of other people, and if enough people are saying they don't like something for the same reasons, then it might just be fact.
Yeah, you might have an actual issue there.
Neuron needs to look into and say, hey, maybe we found.
Yeah, but you have to be careful because with that same logic, you can also fall into confirmation bias. So it's really hard to have an objective opinion about things. It's really hard to like narrow things down and have nuance. Nuance is a word that I love, and it's something that people need to re-educate themselves on. Because there's a bunch of nuance that we'll not even understand because we aren't on the development team. We're not in the room, so we don't know all of these things. But it's not a bad idea to still provide criticism. That's the role we serve as consumers. Taking away from the perspective of the creator, as a consumer, our role is to play the thing or enjoy the thing and tell the developers what we did and didn't like about it so they can interpret our mumble jumble and turn it into something that will actually benefit the content.
You see this thing? I liked this thing.
Yeah.
Keep doing
whether it actually matters, then yeah, it's just to affirm whether we like something or not, and they can use that confirmation to influence what they do from there.
In layman's terms, it's that one episode of SpongeBob where he didn't become a prize, and then at the end, where it's like, that's what we've been waiting for.
Exactly. But there's not like a threshold of the audience size that is supposed to say, okay, well then now it's rule of law where we have to do these things because this amount of audience says they didn't like it. No, it just carries more weight because more people said they didn't like it.
Yeah,
you know?
It's a, like, look into it more kind of situation. It's not like a, hey, you know, this is the thing.
Yeah, it's not a toss it because that many people said they don't like it or said to toss it. It's like, okay, we gotta toss it because this many people said so. I'm like, no, what? You don't throw away a character just because some people said they don't like it. That's not how this works. You know?
You bring it back, say, hey, we're gonna cook him a little longer, etc. We'll bring him back eventually, but there will be a time for the release. So we would like we will continue the 6.0 release without the character to allow him to develop more. But the fact that we said we're ceasing everything.
Yeah, we're ceasing development on it. Like,
did you guys see the feedback that Wuthering Waves received on, like, when it was launching? Before it even launched, it did a beta or like a pre-launch in the East, right? And the feedback for how bad the story was, the 1.0, was so bad globally. Everyone hated it. And I mean, like, the vast majority of the audience agreed this is bad. This is garbage. Well, before they even released the project, they delayed the global release and took it out of, like, launch schedule just to rewrite the entire first story. And then that even didn't do well because the voice acting in English was bad. So then they went and redid a bunch of voice lines. It's like they didn't need to go out of their way they didn't necessarily need to fix the story.
If we
But they wanted.
if we really were to say, oh, they're money grubby and stuff like that and everything, they would have just left it half-assed as is.
They would have just left
Yeah.
it. Yeah, exactly. They would have just left it alone. But no, they went back, even after a year later, they went back and still fixed the main story, and now we're going back to the zone, that we're going back to Huanglong, now presently in the story in the next update. And they're gonna enhance that story, I'm assuming. It's not confirmed which characters are gonna be there, but the face of the character, like the game, the cover, Yang
icon,
Yang,
yeah.
is getting like a remake, basically, because she's the face of the game, and yet she had like the least amount of story. She was a very unimportant character, and it's like, well, we want to rewrite her because she didn't land as well as we wanted, so we're going to do it again. And it's like, you don't have to do that. They could have left 1.0 the way it is. We don't even need to back. But they're going to do that, and they're changing the way that the game is written because of the feedback. It's like, it's not we should cut the game, it should EOS because the first story is so bad. They're writing so bad. No, wait for it to get good and give it the necessary feedback so that they can learn what it is that makes it so bad, so they can stop doing it.
Here's where I like giving credit to one specific title that I want to say we're all relatively familiar with. Final Fantasy XIV.
I've never played Final Fantasy, but you can go on.
So, 14 had a very similar thing where
Is this online, right? Or is this one of the...
online.
Okay.
It was the very first one, before Realm Reborn even existed, before it was a twinkle in his eyes. The man is insane. But, before it was even a twinkle in his eyes, they got, was it you? I think, yeah, it's Yoshi P. Yoshi P got the IP back, or no, he got the IP, he got the handle, he looked at the first Final Fantasy XIV online, and he said, we need to overhaul this entirely. Where the story itself wasn't bad.
Mm-hmm.
The story itself was actually fairly decent. The gameplay was horrendous.
It's like a 7 out of 10.
No, it was like a 4 out of 10 because you're trying to shove single player
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the story was like a 7 out of 10. But you're trying to shove single player mechanics into an MMO.
Yeah. It's not that the ideas on their own were necessarily bad. It's just the way that they were presented.
The execution was done, and instead of Yoshi P going like, "Oh, I'm going to completely shut the game down, and we're gonna move on
the entire thing."
No, yeah, he said, no, he shut. That's what actually literally what he did.
Yeah.
He gave the game an actual death.
Mm-hmm.
The server shut down, but it was a player experience. It wasn't just we're doing this for the sake of doing it. He got the player base, he got the team, he told them we're gonna write an ending to an MMO.
Mm-hmm.
He looked at the player base, he gave them a whole spectacle, and then he told them, we will be right back with what will be essentially for the next decade the best MMO to ever exist since the original World of Warcraft.
And now, and now Final Fantasy MMO games that people log in for.
Yeah, it's top 5. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it is. Yeah. It is right up there next to World of Warcraft and like Guild Wars 2. Like, it is up there, and it's like the only reason that happened is because the guy sat down, cracked open his beer, and said, "All right, let's get to work."
He didn't give up on the project, and like
he didn't give up. Exactly.
That's kind of what we're all getting at. It's not so much about not wanting to like help the fandom and work with them, so much as it is your creative integrity with your art. How far, where do you draw the line of like how much of an influence does this have, and is the influence actually relative and good to the overall project?
Yeah, I mean, just look at the reputation people have now with creative people. People just looking at like, well, now we know that if the fan base doesn't like something, you are willing to throw an entire project that was promised and developed for so long away just because enough people said they don't like it.
There's memes about it now where the game, the most notorious game in gaming history to betray an entire audience now.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That is-
Yeah, all because of one decision.
literally like 24 hours. That's how easy it is. And I think, again, it's just because of the influence of the internet and such like that. How quickly something like this goes so out of hand.
Yeah, we didn't expect the Eternal Return drama to get as big as it was, but it did.
Yes,
It
for
did.
a boring joke.
Yeah, just 'cause it was boring.
Boring.
Mind you, this is a VTuber that's known for making dad jokes. Like,
Crony, yeah, one of the biggest ENV tubers out there. Like, Hololive. You're damaging a reputation with a very, very big audience. Oh my god.
At least for Eternal Return, they risked not getting new audience members, and they threw it out the window. But they kept relatively somewhat a majority of their same quantity, or at least like enough where it's like they're still afloat. Infold,
Yeah, they kept their core
Yeah.
Love
audience.
and Deepspace lost practically half their audience.
Yeah, because they damaged their reputation with everyone.
People who, okay, I kid you not, people who were saving up on the game to get the new character are now trying to claim for.
oh yeah, no,
for
they've
false
lost in
advertising.
math.
They're doing false they're making false advertising reports to the country over there because that is technically fraudulent activity.
Yeah.
People
They
who
like they
hadn't
love the
played the
money.
game in a long time literally re-downloaded the game for Valko because it was finally something of an interesting character to try. Uninstalled it the moment they announced that you had returning players come back from that you had lost, and now
Yeah, like it's very
new
clear
players
that this.
who probably wanted to get it, and now they're
There was a
uninstalled.
sizable chunk of people that would have possibly really liked this character, but they were not willing to take that chance just because, like, however many percent of people were very vocal about it, you know?
And again,
Like
I
they-
feel like this was a business decision, not so much a developer decision.
Yeah.
Somebody looked at it and said, like, they weighed the pros and cons in quotes and said, do we want the guaranteed money or do we just, like,
Yeah,
or do we actually
companies
want to
and
help the fan
investors
base?
don't like risk. They really, really don't like risk, especially with fans like that. Like, reputation is such a important thing in the Chinese gaming culture. You see this with
Mhm.
most companies over there and how they conduct business. It's completely different from global. So when
Another
games
question
like that
becomes-
reach global, is just like they handle it exactly the same way, even though they're talking to a global audience now, and it's not the same anymore.
But
But,
then
you
the
know.
question becomes that cancellation and such like that shouldn't a majority shouldn't it be listening to the majority, or are
Yeah,
they
you would
taking
think.
each individual one individually? Because again, very similar to how me and Callus felt when Eternal Return was talking about it. Why are they listening to those specific like cat player Korean players that had brought up a 5-year-old clip about it?
Yeah,
I
when the
didn't even
vast majority of the audience, like the global audience, didn't care. The only ones that cared about this was KR.
Yeah,
that was
the
it.
Korean audience.
Yeah, and it was not even the majority. Actually, most of them were complaining about the hecklers. You know, it was just this. It was such a small minority of the smallest, or of the largest, or just what happens to be the largest audience in the game. It is the largest audience, the largest asking for it, but it is the smallest portion of that. But because it's KR, and because KR is their baby, they pulled the plug on it, you know?
Which, in this case, using this as a comparison, because this isn't like, oh, this happened like a year ago. No, this happened literally like, what, 2 months ago? 3 months ago?
Yeah, like 2 months.
Yeah.
And such like
Yeah,
that.
that's very recent.
If we're gonna use this as a comparison, because Korea and China tend to, at least game company-wise, tend to follow down through the same thing and such like that,
Hmm.
one of two things can happen. Valko's cancellation is gonna be dead in the water, and it's gonna be confirmed. There's no changing their mind about that, and they're gonna move on with doing whatever they're doing. And unfortunately, Valko's never gonna come back from the grave and such. Or the other thing that is going to happen is that they're going to try to fix him, place him, but he's never gonna do this again.
No. Well, I mean, it's very clear he's never going to be the same. And the audience is, like, damage is already done. No matter if you bring him back or not, you've already damaged your reputation with that many people. Not even bringing the character will fix that. And I think they know that. So, I imagine that he's not coming back. Or maybe he'll just secretly come back in another form. They'll eventually release another love interest that might have some similarities to the character, but it's going to be wildly different.
But it's really ironic that, like you said, even censoring players for playing about music. The same thing is happening over here with the Chinese players too. There are Chinese players who are saying that they were actually fearful, or at least, like, again, claims that they were fearful of voicing that they actually did like Valko in fear of those vocal players, because that's how scary they are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's what I mean by the reputation is permanently damaged. Like with Eternal Return, nobody's going to speak up about KR or anything related to drone YouTuber stuff. They're going to never speak up about drama ever, and acknowledge anything, and never give criticism or fear that KR is going to freak out about.
I remember I had a conversation with you, Callus, where I was worried about my Callus build. Because again, they are a reflection of how I felt playing the game and such, and that if I were to eventually work with Nimble Neuron regarding Eternal Return, I'm scared that they would dig that up, find anything that I say as an attack on the game, rather than a genuine critique of say, hey, you need to fix this because there's stuff.
For the love of God, give us stat previews for builds, please.
It's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. They've been asking for way too long.
I know it's not, but for the love of whatever God you love, please.
He needs the numbers.
It's not even for my sake. It's for the sake of incoming players. Because a lot of that player base looks at it, goes like, I don't understand.
Yeah, it's too complicated.
But anyway.
Back on topic.
Yeah. I will say, at the end of the day, my hope, in a sense, we figure out a way as a creative community, from fans to creative, from consumer to seller, that there is a way that we could openly talk and give critique in a constructive manner to better the project. Because, like we said earlier, the solution might have been just to have it a reactor for playtest.
Yeah.
Certain character to the game that comes in and such. Yes, you might risk people leaking it out and stuff, but that would not disclose.
Yeah, I mean, guys, look at the fact that Full Metal Alchemist, you guys know, there's Brotherhood and Original. And for anybody who doesn't understand what the difference, Original was meant to be the only one. But Arakawa, the writer, was so displeased with how the original was made that they went and scrapped it. Actually, no, they ended it where it was. They gave it an ending. And then they rewrote the entire thing to be basically like one for one with the manga. And look at where Brotherhood is now. It is the single most watched anime ever. It is consistently number one. Yeah. Like, nobody even talks about the original. Everyone only acknowledges Brotherhood. But see, Full Metal Alchemist would have died on that hill if she had just abandoned it where it was. It would have just stayed the way it was. But now it is the single most watched number one anime globally. And it will stay that way because of how damn popular it became. But the only reason she got there is because she...
The longest anime of all time, season 1 is ending because Oda said he wants to fix and shorten for new people, new fans to join and do a rebirth of a reimagining anime early chapters to get people caught up so that he could write more concise stories.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, my statement to the public and to any other creators, my fellow creators, my statement to you to take away from today would be passion takes precedent over public opinion.
You know what?
Ultimately, your decision is the most important. It is good to consider criticism. Take it with a grain of salt. It's important to acknowledge it, especially when people are saying that a thing is bad and giving you valid reasons. Then interpret it. But if it's not something you want to change about your product, don't do it just because everybody else said so.
No, yeah, weigh your pros and cons against your art. Like, have the integrity to go, maybe the fandom does want this, but it doesn't make any sense within, the concept of the game or the art or the piece of media you're trying to interpret. very quick sand tangent. I need a callous Cheeto now.
I need to make like a Trump art of me.
It's just a blue Cheeto with like eyes.
That's
Okay.
amazing. Maybe I'll do that.
All right.
Okay.
I'm gonna end the episode here because we've gone on for about an hour 15. But again, at the end of the day, really appreciate everyone that had come in to help. Thank you again, Callus
Absolutely.
and Dr. Clef, and hopefully we'll see you
Malay.
in another Otaku Nightly Hour. Good night. Bye.
Good night, everybody.
Thanks.